This is WLNS TV 6. Stay tuned. A special presentation from TV6 Sports is next. Brackets busted, hopes dashed, dreams became nightmares.
Tough.
While some escaped, others dominated. The Spartans and the Wolverines advanced in the dance. Rivals in a fight for survival, marching through the bracket to keep their dream alive. The madness continues. This is March to Glory, the Sweet 16.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another March to Glory special, the Sweet 16 edition this week, our second hour-long live special in a week. We hope you enjoyed last week's March to Glory and will enjoy tonight's just as much. If you are a fan of the Spartans or Wolverines, I know you enjoyed the March to Glory over the weekend. Both the Wolverines and Spartans advancing to the NCAA Sweet 16. First time in history that's happened where both have made it. Spartan fans gathered just over an hour ago to send the Spartans off to Indianapolis for the next round of the tournament. Tom Izzo showed up, greeted the fans who turned out, thanked them for showing up to wish his team well. The MSU team boarded the bus and headed to Indianapolis, where it will hold a public practice at Giant Lucas Oil Stadium tomorrow in preparation for Friday night's 9:45 tip-off against the Duke Blue Devils right here on TV6. And the players are anxious to get on with this tournament run. What's the excitement level as you walk around campus and go to class or whatever, and you realize you're in the Sweet 16?
We are happy that we are in the Sweet 16, but we want to go further, so we just got to, bring that energy and that intensity we brought in the last game. We got to just bring to every game so we can keep playing.
It's cool to see we're in the Sweet 16, but the Sweet 16 is really not our goal right now. We want to go further, so we just got to go prepare for Duke and just take care of one game at a time.
It's a one-game elimination, and it's a lot of great teams out there, and now it's down to 16 teams. We just have to bring it and just keep playing together as a team.
This is what you live for. You come to Michigan State so you can play in those games and be in that atmosphere. So this is all we live for.
Is there any thrill or mystique of playing Duke because of, as you grew up, they were one of the teams?
I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't, but we're looking forward right now. You're in the Sweet 16. We don't care who's out there. We're going to be excited for all the games.
I'm hoping Indy brings us the same memories that the Palace did. We've been pretty successful in the NCAA tournament down in Indy, and yet, unfortunately, what you did in the past doesn't do anything except make you feel a little more comfortable. It doesn't win any games or do anything for you.
All right, that blue monster from the ACC is next, the Duke Blue Devils. This is a program Tom Izzo has stated many times over the years he's modeled his own program after, and Izzo is fond of saying his program is not truly elite until it reaches the status of Duke. The Blue Devils reached the Sweet 16 for the 13th time in the last 16 years Sunday with a convincing win over Creighton in Philadelphia. A 66-50 thrashing that moved Duke into the Sweet 16 for the 4th time in the last 5 years and into the regional semifinals for the 27th time overall. The Blue Devils are a number 2 seed in this tournament, now 29-5 on the year, heading into this Friday night clash with the Spartans. And Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski today was singing the praises of Tom Izzo.
With all the success, he's a humble guy. He's okay if someone else does well, which a lot of people are not in any profession. Just a hard worker. When he says something, you can believe him. He's an honest guy, and I really like it. There's not a thing I don't like about Tom, and he's become a good friend over the years.
The MSU victory Saturday at the Palace over Memphis put the Spartans into the Sweet 16 and on to the round in Indianapolis. A very interested spectator sitting right behind the MSU bench was former Spartan Charlie Bell, who took his 9-year-old son to the game with him to watch his alma mater advance. Charlie knows all about survive and advance. He played for Tom Izzo at MSU on 3 Final Four teams. Bell was a key scorer on the 2000 National Championship team, but his real value was in leadership and defense. Number 14 back then. All 4 years he was named the Johnny Bennington Award winner as Best Defensive Player at Michigan State. I caught up with him right after the final horn of the win over Memphis sounded. Bring back any memories?
Great memories. 2000 was a great year. It was a great team. And I think this year, this team has just as much talent, if not more, than what we had. And, if they stay focused, they can really make some noise and really do something special this year.
Izzo's record in the second games of weekends is incredible, almost unmatched. What's the magic there?
I think it just is preparation. I think, he does a great job of watching film and really breaking down the other team, in a short amount of time. You only got like 48 hours to get ready for that next game, and next week is going to be big. It's Duke and Bradley Louisville. I mean, those, you don't never who's going to play, but as it gets close to the Final Four in that championship game, every round is going to be harder, and I think Coach, that's what he strives on, and that's something that he does his best. Is preparing his teams.
Who's the Charlie Bell on this team? Gary Harris?
He's better than me.
Oh, I think, stop it.
No, he's a great player. I mean, he's shooting the ball well. He's playing with a lot of confidence, and he really doesn't look like a freshman out there. I mean, he's really going out there and asserting himself, in the offense, and also defensively. He's playing well also.
How do you like this team's chances to get to another Final Four?
I mean, I love it. I think if you look at the the NCAA this year, there's no real clean-cut favorite, and I think we've played against all the top teams, as far as in the Big Ten, and also playing against the Miamis of the world, and and Kansas. We've played all these teams, and I think they know what it takes, to get to the championship and to win it all. And I think they've seen just about anything. And I think that's what Izzo does a great job in preseason, scheduling tough opponents, because we try to build a team for March.
There was even a little skirmish in the huddle during this one. That means they're right where they want to be, right? That's like the 2000 team.
Oh, definitely. I think I've seen Antonio and Mateen fight in practice. I mean, I've seen they're the best friends, and that's just one to win.
And Izzo loves that stuff, doesn't he?
Oh no, Izzo loves it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we used to act like we was fighting just to get Izzo happy.
Charlie got a kick out of that towel fight in the huddle, didn't he? So Tom Izzo did too, as we'll find out later in the show. But from one former Spartan to another, up next we'll hear from the ex-Spartan who knows all about March Madness. Heck, he practically invented it and helped make the Final Four what it is today. Magic Johnson weighs in on his Spartans in the tournament. That's up next on March to Glory Sweet 16. Stay with us.
March to Glory, the Sweet 16, is brought to you by SBS, the student bookstore.
I don't know. I have good questions to ask them, and that locker room's open, and you ask them any question you want. And if one guy doesn't answer, you make sure you give me a call. It's about time some boys become men, and if that means I'm calling them out, I am calling them out. That was a ridiculous display that first half, and unexcusable.
Or inexcusable, Tom Izzo after a 22-point loss to Duke at the Breslin Center about 9.5 years ago. Well, the coach would like his team to be a little healthier going into this Duke game Friday night to have a chance to win. Of biggest concern to Izzo is the shoulder of guard Keith Appling. He was wearing a brace during practice this week on that right shoulder, the one that popped out of place during the second half of the win over Memphis Saturday. Appling left the game, did not return. Izzo said this week Keith could have played had it been absolutely necessary, but it wasn't. Appling says it will take a whole lot more than a bum shoulder to keep him out of the game at this time of the year, and he did practice this week. Well, former players always crawl out of the work around here when the Spartans play in March, and our Kevin Gale joins us now to talk about the biggest name former Spartan who is waving his green and white banner this week. Kevin?
Fred, it's hard to find a busier man than Magic Johnson, the Spartan Hoops legend, turned NBA superstar, turned businessman, turned LA Dodgers owner. Boy, it's hard to keep all that straight, isn't it? He makes his home in LA these days, but never forgets his roots right here in mid-Michigan. And with the Spartans chasing another Final Four, Magic makes time to watch his Spartans on TV no matter what he's got to do on that honey-do list.
I tell Cookie that no work for me all weekend. I'm going to be glued to the TV watching all the games. And I think for me, I try not to say who's going to make it. I think this year, the way the Big Ten has performed, I think the Big Ten will get 2 teams in it. And, of course, I'm hoping Michigan State win it all. But I think that the conference is, when you look at Michigan is there, Indiana's there, Ohio State has advanced, Michigan State has advanced. So the Big Ten has a real shot at winning it. But Louisville is strong. And then Miami, I think, is a sleeper because they're strong inside and they got great guard play as well.
Magic talked plenty more about hoops, but also promoted a new easy-to-use in-home HIV test kit. So despite all of his business commitments, Magic still never misses a chance to raise awareness for the fight against HIV. He really is a Magic man, Fred.
Yeah, Kevin, his contribution in that regard is way more than he ever did in basketball. What a cause he is promoting. All right, thank you for that. We'll check back with Kevin in a moment. The series between MSU and Duke dates back to 1958. But the two teams have met in basketball only 9 times over that time, with Duke winning 7 of the 9. This game Friday will mark the 4th time Michigan State and Duke have played in the NCAA tournament. The Blue Devils have won 2 of the 3, but MSU won the last meeting against Duke back in 2005. When we come back, we'll put a little maize and blue flavor into this show, including a one-on-one chat with Michigan coach John Beilein. Al Martin went to Ann Arbor to visit with the coach. Will have that and much more on Michigan's March to Glory, and more on Michigan State later. Stay with us on March to Glory, the Sweet 16.
You're watching Mid-Michigan's news leader,
Welcome back. Michigan's basketball team entered the Sweet 16 over the weekend side by side with Michigan State at the Palace of Auburn Hills. The Wolverines advanced with wins over South Dakota State on Thursday, then an even more convincing victory Saturday over Virginia Commonwealth, during which the Wolverines looked more like the team that started the season 16-0 and eventually were ranked #1 in the nation for a spell. After the game, you could sense the relief on the faces of the U of M coaches and players about ending a 19-year drought away from the Sweet 16.
I know you haven't been here long, but this is the first time in a long time that Michigan's been to the Sweet 16. What does that mean to the school?
That means a lot to the school. You know, I think this is the first time since '94, you said, and just to have this honor and going to the Sweet 16 is great. And, you know, but I think there's more to come, and we just got to stay focused, and hopefully we can get that done.
It feels good, but no one really knows how hard we work out there in practice when no one's watching. And whatever happens behind closed doors is between us and the team, and we know how hard we work.
John Beilein is a man who is completely humbled by the success his team has had so far. For 35 years, Beilein's been coaching basketball from high school to junior college, now to the pinnacle of his career, the Sweet 16 at Michigan. Our Al Martin went to Ann Arbor this week and chatted with the Michigan coach who is living a dream. Al?
Thanks, Fred. I'm here at Chrysler Arena with Michigan basketball coach John Beilein. First of all, John, how good does it feel to be in the Sweet 16 right now?
You know, it feels good just to be still playing basketball. We have a good group of kids that we love to practice with every day, and just to have them advance and experience this. That we could have better teams in the years to come, and all of a sudden an injury or a missed shot or a fluke in your home right now. So you got to embrace it every time you have it, and we're embracing the heck out of it.
Now, John, you talked a minute about just soaking it all in. I mean, this is your first Sweet 16 since 1994, and you took a minute just to celebrate it with your family. Talk about that moment and what you guys did.
Well, we didn't do anything that was very exciting, but I have always been a guy that after a win or a loss, I just go home. I want to be with my family. I don't want to go out to a restaurant. I don't want to do anything. I just want to go home, have a slice of pizza, and maybe a refreshment, and sit with my family. And so that's exactly what we did. A few chicken wings, some pizza.
Chicken wings and pizza sounds good. So you love chicken wing. You're a chicken wing guy.
Oh, I'm from Buffalo, New York. That's it. That's the only problem is I'm from Buffalo, New York, and the chicken wings aren't the same unless I go back there. But right. It was good. We had a good time.
You really talked about and put emphasis on making Michigan not just a football school. Everybody knows about the big house, but making this a basketball school as well. Talk about that dynamic and how you want to get this program to that level.
Well, see, the people that are maybe close in the state may have seen it that way at times. Us outsiders from upstate New York, we have never seen Michigan as a football school. We've seen it as a great athletic department. You know, I grew up when Kazzy was just finishing playing, and Rudy Tomjanovich and guys like that were great players, and the Glenn Rices and the Fab Five.
I told you we gonna shock the world. I told you we was gonna shock the world. I told you.
And so many really great eras here in basketball, and as a result, it's one of the few schools in the country that has won both a football championship and a basketball championship. Just think about it. There's only 5 or 6 that have done that. Right. So I've never seen it like that, but I wanted to go to a school actually where there was a great football program, and I heard the same stuff at West Virginia. And no, those two can be married hand in hand and really promote the university in a very positive way if both programs are winning and winning with high character kids.
Michigan State advances.
Now, this is the first time that Michigan and both Michigan State have been in the Sweet 16. Talk about that and how humbling is that to finally be in that run with them?
Well, that was one of the first things I answered when I first got here. They would say, well, how are you going to beat Michigan State? How are you going to, and it was never about, hey, we got to be better than Michigan State. It was about, hey, wouldn't it be cool if both teams were in the Final Four in the Sweet 16? This is more about Michigan than beating Michigan State, and that will all take care of itself. We've just been trying to grow. I love Michigan, grow this program to get it so it can be at the top of the Big Ten, so that it's back in the national talk again. I had a player that I talk about all the time ask me, he was born in 1990, was Michigan ever good in basketball? He actually asked me that question, and it was like, wow, we've been out, because he had been watching SportsCenter in '98 or something like that. Right. As soon as we took an exit from the NCAA tournament. So this is where we want to be. We want Michigan up there with the top schools every year.
Well, you guys are there now. Thanks a lot. Thanks. You've heard it here first. Coach John Beilein here at Chrysler Arena. Back to you, Fred.
All right, Al Beilein made a shrewd lineup change in Auburn Hills that worked to Mason Blue perfection. I got my staff going all over. Kevin Gale now joins us again with the story of the key cog in the Wolverine lineup. Kevin.
Fred, on the eve of the NCAA tournament, John Beilein decided to shake up his starting lineup. He sent junior forward Jordan Morgan to the bench in favor of talented freshman Mitch McGary. Now, that roster move could have been costly, but once the games tipped off in Auburn Hills, McGary stood tall by posting career-best numbers in points and rebounds. While star guard Trey Burke struggled to find his shooting touch, the freshman forward from Indiana scored 13 points and grabbed 9 rebounds during a win over South Dakota State that was just a little too close for comfort in the first half. But 2 days later, McGary led his team with 21 points and 14 rebounds during a 25-point win over VCU, a statement game that reminded everyone why this team was ranked #1 earlier this season. As the Wolverines head to Texas for the Sweet 16 now, McGary should be a staple in the starting lineup, and his coaches just couldn't be any happier.
Do you look at the week Mitch has had as a proud father, as a coach, and say, boy, he's really grown up this week?
Well, more like a proud uncle, you know, and a lot of times they joke with me, you know, hey, big unc, you know, how you doing? And I say, hey, nephew, keep playing defense.
Yeah, Uncle Bakari. Yeah, he's helped me a lot going through the transition and coming off the bench and starting. And I wasn't more of a role player. Now I have to step up at certain times. But, I mean, this is what Michigan's all about. This is what I live for. That's why I came to Michigan, so we can keep winning.
Aren't freshmen supposed to have jitters in their first NCAA tournament? You and Mitch look like you've been doing this forever.
Yeah, you know, we just try to go out there and continue to do what we've been doing the whole season. You know, there's no need for jitters, and that's a mentality that we tried to come out and have, and I think it worked. And you know, Mitch just went out and had a great performance.
What year were you born? 92.
So you were 2 years old in '94, the last time this team went to a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Does that put it in perspective? I mean, and how special this is, and do you feel that way?
I mean, it's an honor to be going to the Sweet 16, just to be playing in March, and we're going to take advantage of it and hope for the best.
No doubt McGary learned a lot from that minefield of top teams in the Big Ten this season. In fact, when TV analyst, well, he calls himself a TV analyst, Charles Barkley called the Big Ten overrated, McGary responded by saying, Charles needs a double take to realize this conference is no joke. He may be a freshman, Fred, but soon enough, Mitch McGary could be one of the best players in this overrated league. Sir Charles just stirring the pot all over again.
All right, Kevin, Sir Charles is waiting outside the door for you. What a beast McGary was, and really all the Michigan freshmen in Auburn Hills. When we come back, a freshman will be our center of attention again. Though he's not a center, and he doesn't wear maize and blue. He's Lansing Sexton product Denzel Valentine. We'll go one-on-one with Denz, and also with the man in the stands who has watched as many of his son's games as his job has allowed him to. It's Valentine's night on March to Glory Sweet 16, and it's up next. Stay with us.
It just says, you know, a Valentine's, God and family is the motivation. And then it just has my mom's name, my dad's name, my name, and my brother's name, and a heart-shaped basketball. I feel really strong about, you know, my family and, you know, what we go through. So I just put it on my arm, you know, just to remind me. Looking at it, and, you know, it just reminds me, you know, who I'm doing it for, and, you know what I, you know, do these hard workouts and practice hard for.
I don't understand all the tattoos on these young kids, but I understand that one. Denzel Valentine with a very meaningful tattoo on his left arm, but there is so much more about this young man worth getting to know. I visited with Denz about his first season of transition to college basketball after a brilliant high school career at Lansing Sexton.
You know, it's been, wild, playing, at Michigan State. I've been wanting to play here, all my life, and, to finally get a chance to play and, play a good amount of minutes and playing big games, travel here, travel Germany, travel to Atlanta, play in front of, these state fans, these crazy state fans. It's been fun.
What's it like to go from the Don Johnson Fieldhouse to a ship in Germany?
Yeah, it was crazy. In high school, it's just for bragging rights. You're playing your city rival, and it's more, local. But to play on a national level, on ESPN, the first game, it's just another step.
Tom Izzo has said a few times, Denzel's got to realize this isn't high school anymore. Yeah. Did you have to realize that, or was there a moment where you said, man, this isn't Owasso?
No, I had to realize that, pretty quick. He's right, I had to stop, making those high school plays and, be a more mature player.
Do you get the feeling, because you were so good at Sexton, that this was maybe a little easier than you thought?
No, it wasn't really that. I was just trying to make, the plays that I used to make. You can make some of them, but there's a time and a place, and you can't do those plays all the time.
What's your dad's role been in keeping you calm down, keeping you level?
Yeah, just, he calls me before every game, and we text, and I talk to him, for advice, and he just tells me what I need to do, and he doesn't, overdo it, because he respects Coach and, this whole program, what they've done for him and for me. But whenever I need him, he's always there.
All right, and by the way, that was not a shot at Owasso. That's a terrific program. It just means there's a difference between high school basketball and college basketball. Well, Denzel talked about his dad. We sent Kevin Gill out to visit with Carlton Valentine, who has had a more than watchful eye on Denzel's career so far. Kevin?
As a coach, Carlton Valentine is focused, intense, and nothing short of intimidating. In fact, his tall, strong stature made him a self-described junkyard dog on Judd Heathcote's MSU teams of the mid-1980s. But that's Carlton in game mode. When I sat down with the Lansing Sexton coach earlier this week, I met the polite and proud father of MSU freshman Denzel Valentine.
He's a jokester. He's the life of the party. He wants to make everybody happy. And I think that's the thing that's so magnetic about his personality. A lot of guys that play basketball, they're concerned about scoring. Denzel is concerned about passing. He wants to set everybody up. He loves throwing the alley-oops to AP. In high school, he loved getting everybody to basketball. The guy almost averaged a triple-double. And I think that's why people like him so much when they watch him play, is because he's not a selfish guy. He wants to pass.
Where do you fall into his coaching at this point in his career?
At this point, I've already coached him. So I try to stay out of the way. I try to stay in my lane, man. I stay right in my lane. Matter of fact, Coach Izzo did call me this year. We had a meeting with the coaching staff and Denzel, and they wanted my input because he was struggling a little bit, and I think it helped him a little bit. His next game that came out, he played Illinois, and he had 14. Well, I won't say that's all because of me, but, if you stay out of the way and don't interfere as much, when you say something, it has more meaning.
We've gotten shots of you in the stands at Breslin. You're like a statue there. Are you watching the game critically? Are you just trying not to give too much away? What is your approach when you're sitting in the stands?
I think I'm watching the game as a coach, and I probably need to relax. I learned this from my high school coach, Morgan Wooten, and he said that if you want to get better, you have to sweep the corners, okay? So don't cut the corners, make sure you sweep the corners. Now, what does that mean? This is what he said. If you go into somebody's house and it's organized and it's neat and everything's put away and everything looks clean, that's good. But if you want to see if the house is really clean, go look in the corners.
I remember that night at Breslin, Oakland was in town, and you had Drew and Denzel on the court at the same time. All those pickup games in the gym or playing in the front yard built up to that moment. Were you the proudest father in the world that night?
Yeah, I was very proud. I can't say I wasn't proud. I was very proud. Not only that, I was emotional, man. I was a wreck, man, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to lose that game. And so you got to be happy for one son, And then for the other son, you got to go console him. You know what I mean? But to have two sons to play college basketball, to play Division I basketball, and then to play at Michigan State, I always tell them, you know, I say apple trees grow apples, man. I say don't fall far from a tree, man.
Obviously, Carlton was very disappointed when his Sexton Big Reds missed out on a 4th consecutive trip to Breslin, but that early exit allowed Carlton to attend the Big Ten tournament, opening round games at the Palace, and now he's even taking the whole family to the Sweet 16. But Fred, even with a monstrous crowd inside Lucas Oil Stadium this week, I doubt you'll find a prouder dad than Carlton Valentine.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Great insight from a very proud father and a very good father and a good coach, too. All right, Tom Izzo did some recruiting of Carlton Valentine back in the day. Izzo gave us so much time for this show, we're going to divide his interview into 2 parts. We'll have that, and you'll never guess who his son picked in his bracket. You got to see this up next on March to Glory, the Sweet 16.
My 13-year-old, he's got all the bracket done, and it's got Michigan State and Duke, and he didn't finish the rest of the bracket. I said, Stephen, what are you doing? He says, well, Dad, I'm just not sure in this game. I said, you know what, son? You got to pick with your head, not your heart. The damn kid picked Duke. So now I got a problem. You know, my problem is whether you win the sheet of integrity. My son's problem is whether he ever eats at my house.
Yeah, you want to talk about getting cut off early.
He's a big fan of his. I mean, he's a big fan.
All right, Tom Izzo on the Mike and Mike show this morning. Stephen picking Duke in his bracket. That is hilarious. Tom can be hilarious. He laughs as easily as he cries, but everything he does comes from the heart, and a heart is something he thinks his new team now has. We've divided the Izzo sit down for us for our March to Glory Sweet 16 into 2 parts. Here's part 1.
All right, another March to Glory. I called and changed 2 appointments today. Opening day is this weekend. You've ruined another one, and my dry cleaning bill is going crazy. You're killing me.
God, I'll give you, I'll take care of your dry cleaning, and I'll make sure that baseball, maybe I can't change when they open, so I'll do one of the 2 for you.
But all these Sweet 16s, it is a feather in your program's cap, isn't it?
You know, the 11 out of 16 years being to a Sweet 16, again, that goes to the point I'm trying to make all the time, and that can I get this program consistently knocking at the door. You know, this year we didn't win the Big Ten, but we were knocking right at that door, and now you look at what Duke's accomplished, or Kansas, or Kentucky, or Carolina, and Michigan State's in that conversation. And not for 5 years, or even 10. Now it's 15, 16, and let's head to 20, and then maybe we can really celebrate some good things.
I didn't see you after Saturday's game at the Palace. I know you went recruiting, but I told some people Izzo's got to love this. I mean, guys were fighting in the huddle. Guys were calling each other out. People were calling that dissension. That's harmony, isn't it?
It just goes to show how perception becomes reality, and it's so far from that, you know. I mean, I've had so many things worse that happen. Think of your house. Think of your brothers and your sisters, you know. That happens all the time. Do I want it to happen in there, you know, do I want a fight to happen in a hotel? Of course not. You know, those 2 guys now are better friends than they were before that happened at Penn State. The one thing that I will say that didn't bother me a bit, I looked up and I said, what is he doing? I looked right back down, because I'm asking for guys to have more passion for this sport, for these games, for this season, for this program. I'm harping on that constantly. I said, when it means enough to you, I'll know. When 2 guys that went to school together, 2 guys that have lived together for 4 years, are arguing in a huddle, that means it means a lot to them. That doesn't happen if it doesn't matter. So I don't want to promote it, but I also want to make sure people understand, you're damn right, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for guys that care so much that they're not afraid to call out their best friends. And the last time that happened, we won a national championship.
How about that? The second part of the conversation with Tom coming up in just a bit. I forgot to ask Izzo if he had any game day superstitions, but my man Al Martin went that direction with a couple of the players. He joins us now to tell us more about that. Al, you got your rabbit's foot with you for this one?
No, I actually don't, Fred, but I do have one superstition. I've been wearing my Michigan State wristband and leather fraternity band since college. They are definitely my good luck charms, but MSU center Derek Nix has a superstition on the road that's pretty interesting. He has a cleaning routine that begins as soon as he arrives at the hotel room. It's even rubbed off on one of his teammates. Check it out.
I get up if we stay in a hotel more than one night, but I always make my bed before I leave for shoot around. I take the garbage out, make sure the bathroom is clean. When I'm done washing up, I call the hotel managers and tell them we need new rags and have them take the other ones out. When we leave, I make sure the hotel is clean. When I first get to the hotel, I take all of my game stuff out, lay it down nice and neatly on the back of the chair, put all my dirty clothes in one little bag. Put all my clean ones in my suitcase. It's weird, and I feel like if I do that, then I play better.
And it's what MSU center Derek Nix has been doing for quite some time. In fact, he's added a new one.
Before the Texas game, when I had like 25 and 11 or whatever, I came up here and I was stretching out and I was just playing around. I just started shooting finger shots. So now, before every game, I shoot finger shots.
The motivation behind it?
I think the outcome of how I live my life goes off the base of how I take care of my business on and off the court.
There's also one other motivating factor.
The ladies like you more because you're neat, and they probably used to athletes just being dirty and stinky.
So behind the whole being neat thing, so the ladies are some of that motivation in, huh?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Derek Nix loves the ladies, Dan.
No, the ladies love Derek Nix.
It's even rubbed off on MSU freshman forward Matt Costello.
He enjoyed everything being like that, and I'd come in, dump all my stuff, and he'd be like, "Matt, what are you doing?" And I'd just be like, "I don't know, sitting in a room." But no, he loves everything clean. And so whenever we'd leave to go to a shoot around or something, we'd call room service, "Hey, can you guys clean our rooms, make our beds and stuff?" So we'd come back, everything would be nice and neat. And so, yeah, it has kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. I'm coming in, taking all my clothes out, taking all my toiletries in, just keeping everything nice and neat.
Will it rub off on anyone else? You never know. But it wouldn't be a surprise that after watching this, you even become very superstitious. Nothing more to say.
I know you guys were bobbing your head to Stevie. That's certainly a classic. But as you see, the big man is pretty superstitious. Matt and Nix have grown to become pretty close due to those road trips. And Matt told me that he sees Nix as an older brother now. Matt also shared with me that during his junior year of high school, he used to wear the same gym socks during every game. A pretty smelly superstition. Fred, please don't do that. The sports office will be very funky. Back to you, man.
Who says I don't, Al? Very nice job, and make sure you don't walk under that ladder when you leave the studio. When we come back, time to sit back and listen to the experts. Our roundtable is next. Stay with us. Welcome back to March to Glory Sweet 16 version. We're now joined by our roundtable guests for this segment. The three distinguished gentlemen to my right, Kevin Gale from our staff, and Joe Rexrode, who is formerly with the Lansing State Journal, but has covered Michigan State basketball and football for 750 years, now with the Detroit Free Press. And Andre Hudson, the big fella on the right, who played in 3 Final Fours with Michigan State. Andre, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Michigan State and Duke, this looked like a matchup that was going to happen, and probably, guys, I don't think I'm biased in this, Joe, the best matchup on the board now in the Sweet 16, isn't it?
I think so, and you could argue Michigan-Kansas is right there with it, really, the two in-state teams playing. But yeah, I think you looked at the bracket when it came out and said, wow, that would be a heck of a matchup. And then you look a little bit more ahead, and Michigan State-Louisville 4 years later could be a rematch, but it won't be easy for Michigan State to get there.
I think it's definitely a major matchup. There's some other great matchups in this tournament, though. A lot of great surprises, I believe. Florida Gulf Coast has been playing phenomenal. Arizona, I think they play Ohio State. Yep. Another great match. There's some great matchups, but I do believe in the Spartans. I think Coach Izzo, he really gets up to play against Coach K. He hasn't been the most successful in the past years, but I know he's he's going to be amped up for this game.
You got to look at the coaches in that region. And where are the Florida Gulf Coasts and the LaSalles in the MSU bracket? You've got Coach Izzo, Coach Krzyzewski, you've got Rick Pitino there, and then poor Dana Altman just looks like a scrub, but he's done a great job at Oregon. So where are the easy walkover games, Fred?
23 Final Fours between those guys. And that's just the three of them. And that region, and then Altman, of course, with his 0, but maybe he'll get there someday.
I feel like we kind of fall in that arena every year. I mean, every year our bracket is one of the tougher brackets in the out of all the regions. So I think Coach Izzo's kind of used to it. You know, you got to play the best to be the best.
They haven't won it since 2000, Andre, the team that you were on. Who's the Andre Hudson on this team?
Man, that's kind of hard to say. You know, one person who's really impressed me as of late is Derek Nix. He has become, I think, in the past month, he's become our leader, our emotional leader. As you guys saw, the altercation in the huddle, you know, I got inside scoop. It was more of him getting on players to step up their game. You know, he was trying to get on AP because AP's level wasn't where it needed to be. And he's really becoming that outspoken leader.
Well, Charlie Bell was there on Saturday at the Palace, and he said to Fred that he thinks that, you know, he had fights like that all the time on the 2000 team, and that Izzo kind of enjoys that kind you take. Did you notice that on your squad?
Absolutely. We had fights all the time in the games and practices. I've had altercations with Mo Pete and Antonio. I mean, it was the nature of the game. We had such a desire to win, and it wasn't one person, it was throughout the team, and so losing was just unacceptable. If we were losing, we were ready to fight, you know, and I think that's what this team is starting to get to.
You know, of course, the altercation happened. You heard people say, "Wow, boy, watch out! What's going on in the locker room?" And of course, he said, "I loved it." You know, I mean, I swear he looked up for about a second. He's like, "All right, go back to drawing the play," you know. But yeah, and I think Andre hit it. I think it's Derek Nix. I think he's a senior who really realizes it could be his last night any time. I mean, you saw him not just in that play. I thought all weekend he had like a snarl on his face, you know, and just playing the best ball of his career. All along, he's been the guy. Tom Izzo has said, you know, you've got to be the guy who steps up. It's not natural for him, but I think he's really starting to understand how to do some of those things.
Let's briefly visit on Michigan, who also plays Friday night against Kansas and Texas. Michigan was really only 6-6 in their last 12 games going into this, but it seemed like at the Palace they became what Michigan was again.
Well, they said, thank goodness we're not playing Big Ten teams anymore. Yeah. Finally, a team that want to play up tempo, and when they can play up tempo, look how Glenn Robinson plays. Look how Mitch McGary plays. So I think the matchups were good for them. I think they have a lot of confidence back. The problem is that Kansas is going to play them more like a Big Ten team. They're going to want to slow it down and big guards, and they got a rim protector in Jeff Withey. So it'll be a much tougher matchup. But when you have that confidence like they got, especially for those freshmen, I think they have a chance.
It's so amazing that Beeline had the confidence coming out of the Big Ten tournament in an early exit to swap out a junior in Jordan Morgan and put Mitch McGary in there, who's got all the talent in the world. But to really fiddle this time of year, that can really cost you with media and fans this time of year, and you can get busted on that. But you know what? He made the right decision, and Robinson and McGary combined for 69 points in Auburn Hills. They look like men among boys.
Andre, if they didn't wear maize and blue, could you like this Michigan team?
That's a big if.
Wow. I tell you what, they got some very talented players. You got to give them that. Trey Burke has been phenomenal. He's probably my vote for the player of the year if I had a say in it. They're a great team. I mean, they have a good team. They're not the Spartans.
And they have so much talent, you got to think they really have to make a run to the Final Four this year because, yeah, they'll bring McGary back and some other pieces next year. But, I mean, their three top guys, Burke, Hardaway, Robinson, could all be gone when the season's over.
Yeah. Getting back to the bracket Michigan State is in, to the two guys who don't have the vested interest in it and never played the game, chances of beating Duke.
I like Michigan State's chances. I think it's a toss-up game, but I think if Michigan State transfers the defense and the rebounding it showed at the Palace, cleans up a little bit of the mistakes, I think Michigan State's more athletic and more talented than Duke. I really do. I think Michigan State's a better team when it doesn't hurt itself. So I think the Spartans, with a week to really work on that, will clean up some things.
When I filled out my bracket originally, I had Duke beating MSU, but I was sitting courtside for those games in Auburn Hills, and I said, whoa. This looks like a whole different team. And Ryan Kelly, the big man for Duke, who came back from that injury and looked great in his debut back, has just gone, we need to file a missing persons report. He scored, I think, 1 point the other night against Creighton. So if that big man is out of the picture, look out, because Payne and Nix, they're like the two towers in the middle. They look so good.
I absolutely agree. I think Kelly is the key. Adrian, he tends to have struggles guarding a three-point shooter. And if Kelly's hitting, that's going to be a problem. But if we can somehow limit his scoring ability, Duke's a different team when he's not in the game. So I think that'll be the key.
All right, guys, we'll save the tape. When this show finishes, Kevin will pack his bags and go on the road for us. Joe for the Free Press. Andre, it's always good to see you. Thanks for your time, all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Andre Hudson, Joe Rexroad, and Kevin Gale. Our March to Glory Sweet 16 continues. We'll also go one-on-one again with the head coach, Tom Izzo. All of it coming up on March to Glory Sweet 16. Stay with us. Before we say goodnight, part 2 of our one-on-one conversation with Tom Izzo, who we find is not helming Georgia on his mind. You see, he has Duke on his mind.
You've talked about Duke 15, 20 years. In fact, when they came in here and spanked you at the Breslin, I wondered if maybe you liked Duke too much. Where did your respect of Duke come from?
Well, people also asked me if I hated Michigan too much, and there was a time I did. You know,
It affected you.
For other reasons, right. And I had to mature. You know, in Duke's case, I've always been friends with Mike. Mike Bray, who was his assistant way back then and now the Notre Dame coach. I recruited Carlton Valentine. That was one of the first guys I was ever involved with. And so Mike was an assistant on that high school staff. That's how far back it goes. I just respect somebody who can stay in the same place, do it the right way, and consistently get it done. What once was maybe infatuation with Duke now has turned into a respect, but respect with the fact that I think we're climbing up that ladder.
Tommy, you are a Duke now, aren't you? Come on.
No, we're not. And I say this on one and only one reason. They have to recruit, but they can select. And we're not at that point yet. Our numbers now are getting a little bit more Duke-ish. What drives me? 1 national championship, 4 national championships. That's a driving factor. So our numbers are getting closer, but we still got some work to do, and this weekend would be a good place to start.
You took those cell phones away in Auburn Hills, and you were smiling Sunday night. So I assume they're not going to have them in Indy either, are they?
Well, you know, I didn't take them away totally. I mean, we've had it where over the years we've confiscated them and put them in bags.
Have you really?
Oh yeah, night before games, always. I haven't gone that far. What I told them is when we're together, I want them. I don't want them there. And you're damn right I was smiling, because I think every parent, every businessman, everybody, you know, you can tell me all the information you get. What you don't get is communication. So the information you get sometimes stays within yourself. It was the day before the game, and they were laughing and joking back there. And sometimes as a coach, you say, hey, we got to get a little more serious here. And I was up there applauding because I didn't hear that for a couple of years.
7-1 in Indianapolis. This place has been good to you. 7-1 in the tournament. You like it there, don't you?
I love Indy. You know, it's been a great city. It's one that I love, that all the hotels are close, and the fans, you can go for a jog in the morning and you go out there and there's, you know, 4 different groups of teams, 4 different sets of colors. It's just a great venue, and I think the best part for me is our fans in 3.5 hours can get there.
You've played Duke maybe in years you thought you couldn't beat them. I don't know if you're going to beat them, but you think you can beat them.
I do, and I really do, and you're right. I have played him in years when I thought it was a long shot. I've played him in other years, once or twice where I thought we could beat him, once at home, and they beat us the worst they've beaten us. Every game's been a very close game except that one. I think he respects our program, and I definitely respect his, and I think we're both looking for a clash of the ages, and that's what it should be when you get to the Sweet 16. It doesn't get any better than this, and to have 2 programs that have maybe been in the 2 most successful programs in the last 15 years, if you look at accomplishments, how does it get any better than this, Fred? It's better than baseball.
I don't know about that, but 2 more wins and they'll start pounding those I Love Izzo signs up again around town. So
they don't need to. They don't need to. I have enough appreciation from the people around here, and you know, when I went through that, it was embarrassing, but it was also that's one of the reasons I'm here. You know, I do love the community. I love the people in it, and I would like nothing better than to get them 2 more wins. I can promise you that, 1 at a time, and see what we can do.
Good luck. We'll see you in Indy.
Thanks, Fred.
And we do thank the coach for his time and the folks at Michigan State for helping make this show happen. For my hardworking staff, Kevin Gale, L. Martin, Dave Parks, the whole crew, Mike Cohan, everybody here. We thank you, we thank them, and we thank you for looking in. Enjoy your March to Glory. Good night, everybody.
March to Glory, the Sweet 16, has been brought to you by SBS, the student bookstore, home of the Green and White Shop, Church Weibel, Know Your Rights, let us protect them, Kia of